Hello guys and welcome to Technological, where you grow with knowledge. In previous tutorials, we have learned how to work with strings in Python. So far, we have explored how to assign strings to variables, how to use indexes and slicing with strings, and some useful string functions. Today, we are going to work on two problems involving strings. Before working on these solutions, I would really recommend you to go through the previous tutorials to learn about how to work with strings in Python in much more details. So in the first problem, we are going to generate an email address for the given input name. For example, if given input name is Monty Python and the email domain is xyz.com, then the output should be monpyt@xyz.com. That means the first three characters of the first name and first three characters of the last name in lowercase, and then concatenate it with the email domain to generate the complete email address. Now, I would suggest you to pause the tutorial here and give it a try in your environment. I hope you were able to make it work. If not, let's continue to the solution. The approach that I'm going to use today is to create individual statements. When they are ready, I will combine them to create a function that generates the email address. So let's start by creating a variable called username. For this variable, I will use the input function to accept the username from the user, and I will provide the text provide your name. This will be prompted to the user for providing the name. So let me execute the cell and let's see how does it work. So in this text field, I need to provide the name which I want to assign to the variable username. After writing this, I need to hit enter and the name will be assigned to the variable. So let's print the variable username and see what is the value assigned. So it prints Monty Python. That was my input name. Now I need all my characters in lowercase. So the first thing I should be doing is I will use username variable and will use lower function to convert all characters in lowercase. So let's see what will be the output of this. All my characters have now been converted into lowercase. The next thing I'm going to do is I will use the split function to break my input string or break my input name into a list. For that, I will be going along with the same lower function. I will just use .split, and now the output will be a list of two strings which are basically my first name and last name, and I have actually converted the case already to the lower, so they are already in the lower case. Now, as we have already seen that the indexes work exactly same in the list as they work with the strings. So if I call the 0th index here, I will be getting just the first name from the list, that will be Monty. So let me execute the cell and show you the output. Similarly, instead of 0, if I'm going to use index 1, this will return the last name. Instead of 1, I can actually use -1 as well, which will be the last name or the last string in the list. This is how it is going to give me the first name and the last name from the list. And this list was created using the split function. I hope you guys remember that a split function breaks a given string based on the white spaces. So if my input name contains one white space, it will create two separate strings. If my given input name contains three names like first name, middle name and last name, then it will create three separate strings in the list. So depending on what do you need in your output for the email address, you can decide the first name and the last name. So for getting the first name, the index will be 0. For the last name, the index will always be -1. So let's now see how to get the first three characters of the first name and first three characters of the last name. So for that, let me again use the 0 index to get the first name. And now to get first three characters of the string, we are supposed to use slice feature. So for slice, we are going to use square brackets, and as I need first three characters, then I will leave my starting index blank and use colon symbol. And as I need three characters, starting three characters, that means I need till index 2, and the ending index in slice is always one higher than the index that you want to select. So I will provide 3 here. Let's execute the cell and see what is the output. So I'm getting the first three characters of the first name, that is MON, and this is what exactly I required. So now let's create another statement that will be fetching the first three characters from the last name. So for that, I just need to change the index here from 0 to -1, and this will get me the first three characters from the last name. So using -1 index here helps you when your name is not made of just first name and last name. If your name has input name has multiple parts, then it will be easier for you to create first name and last name. Now the next task is to concatenate these things together. So for that, I will be using concatenate function, that is the plus symbol, and so this is my first name and the first three characters of first name. Then for concatenation, I will use plus symbol. This is going to be my first last name, actually the first three characters of the last name. Let me show you how does it look like. So this is exactly the username I wanted. Now I must use or concatenate the domain to make it look like an email address. For that, so any domain for email address or any other website, it always starts with @ symbol. So I will be using @ and then my domain is xyz.com. Let me execute the cell and see how does it look like. So this is what I had intended. This is what was required from the given input name. So I had provided an input name as Monty Python, and with that I have generated an email address which is monpyt@xyz.com. So mon is first three characters of the first name, pyt are the first three characters of the last name. So now is the time to combine all these working steps together and create a function that will generate email address for the given input name. So for that, I'm going to create a function called generate email ID, and this function will not accept any input argument. And then let's define the username variable and use the same input function. Prompt the text, provide your name, and in the next line we need to use this username function, username variable actually, and create our desired email address. So this line here, the statement in line number 13 is exactly what I want to generate. So let me put that here. And as this is a function, so all the functions always return something. So this is going to be my last statement, and this will be the returned value from the function. So I will use the return command in front of this, and let's execute the cell to create the function. Now the function has been created. Let's see how does it work. So I will call the function and shift enter. So when I executed the cell, it will prompt for the name. So input name will be Monty Python. Just hit enter and see the output. The function accepts the name and then returns an email address as per our requirement. The first three characters of the first name, last three characters of the last name combined with the domain. Similarly, you can provide any other name here So if I want to provide like Mickey Mouse, this will generate email address for the given input name. So with this, the first problem is solved. Let's move on to the second problem for the day. In the second problem, we need to generate a password for the given input username. So whenever a username is created and a default password is also generated for that. So the purpose of this function is going to be to generate a default password. For example, if the username is Monty Python, then the generated password should contain every alternate character from first name in lowercase and every alternate character from last name in uppercase, and finally a special character ampersand in between them. So the password should look like MNY ampersand PTO. So PTO will be in uppercase, MNY will be in the lowercase. So again, I would suggest you to pause the video and give it a try. I hope you were able to make it work again. If not, then let's see the solution. So again, I will be using a variable called username and will take username as input from the user. So again, let's execute the cell and see. Here I can provide the username as Monty Python. Hit enter, the value gets assigned to the username variable, and let's print it to show you the value. So this is what my username variable contains. Now I am supposed to split this string, this username string, into two parts, in first name and last name. I'm not converting the case to lower like the previous example, because here for the first name I need the case in lower and for the last name I need the case in upper. So first I will split and then we will convert the case. So for that I will use the username variable and then a split function. So a split function will by default will break my string on white spaces. So let's execute this cell and see the output. Now username.split is already done, so let me use the same cell here. After the split, if I want to access the first name, then the index will be 0, just like the previous example. So with this I will get the output as Monty. Now to convert this into the lower case, I just need to use the lower function. So this will convert Monty to all lower case. Similarly, if I copy this and write it into the next cell, here my last name will be on the index -1 and I want to convert it into uppercase. So I will use the function upper. Let's execute. So Python is now in all uppercase. My requirement now is to select every alternate character from the first case and from the first name and the last name. So far we have seen slicing. So slicing selects a slice of the string starting at some certain character, ending at some certain character. Now in the same slicing, I have a feature of skipping characters as well. So first thing that we need to provide is a starting index. After that we use a colon and then provide the ending index. And then finally, if I want to skip any number of characters or if I want to jump the characters, then I need to use another colon and then provide what serial or what number of characters I want to skip while taking the slice. So I want to start at the very beginning of the string. I want to go till the end of the string, but I want to select just alternate characters, every second character. So I will provide a 2 after the second colon. So let's execute this cell and see the magic. So this will select every alternate character from the first name. Similarly, I can use the same slice here in the last name I can provide 2 colons to indicate that I want to start at the very beginning of the string and want to go till the end of the string. And finally, I can provide 2 to indicate I want to select every alternate character. So let's execute this cell and see how does it look like. So this is what I have achieved. Now, next thing is to generate the password by concatenating these 2 strings. So let me copy this, and now my task is to have an ampersand symbol in between these 2 strings. So for that, use plus symbol to concatenate and use ampersand, then concatenate it with the every alternate character of the last name. So for that, let's use the command in cell number 8. Let's execute this particular cell and see how does it look like. This is what I wanted to be my password, my default password. So now I'm ready with all my commands, all my statements. The only thing that I need to do now is to generate a function, to create a function which will generate the password for the given name. So I will create a function, say define generate pass, and again, like the previous function, it will not have any input arguments. Username, again, I will be accepting as an input from the user, and I will prompt to the user that says provide your name, and then I just need to return this particular statement. Okay, so this is going to create a function that generates the password for the given username. Now let me call this function and provide a name and see if this is going to generate the password for me. Shift enter, it asks for the name Monty Python. Let's hit enter. Yeah. So this is exactly what I wanted to generate as my password. I can re-execute it and provide a different name. Let's say Mickey Mouse. Hit enter, and this is how it is going to generate a password for you. So guys, I hope you liked today's tutorial. If you are yet to start with your Python learning, please watch the earlier tutorials and start your journey with Python. Please do subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss out on the next tutorials. Please like and comment to let me know how helpful this tutorial was. Keep learning, keep practicing. Thank you.